Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Let's take another look here at SHIB, see what's going on. Double check, this is a request from a lot of my community members, but also just in general. We got a lot of YouTube followers also asking me for this, so we're just gonna need to draw some new fib levels here because those are previous from the last time the liquidation has been swept. And we're gonna double check a couple of things here and kind of see, well, where the price action is going, what the overall trend is here, and kind of where things may happen and what's going on basically, because the expectation for the price pullback, albeit the price went up first and then came back down, is pretty standard. It's normal for the price like this coin to come down and fill its fair value gap. And you look at this super huge fair value gap, completely swept right there to right there, gone. Now that that's been swept, the price can recover nicely and move with the market. It's a very standard scenario here. So when we look at liquidation, we're going to kind of identify a couple things there too. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, just ask you quickly hit the like button, comment below. Appreciate you doing that. Thank you again to everyone who has been doing that. We've actually been getting a slightly larger amount of views lately, and it's pretty nice. So deeply appreciate you guys and gals always kind of helping out wherever you can. Thank you so much. So let's take a look here. Shiba Inu, where are we at for liquidation? Well, when we zoom in, this is the last 7 days of liquidation. We can see a ton of liquidation, about 14.5 down to 15.5, or basically 1.5. I'm just kind of rounding up a little bit there, but you get the idea, with some liquidation to the upside here. The best way to interpret it is to look at the bigger picture and recognize there's quite a lot of liquidation below the most recent low at about 15.5, or 15.5 is a round number. And then of course we can see here, of course, above the price action, not a lot of liquidation. Okay, well there is some, but it's kind of sparse. So there's not like any heavy concentration. The truth is here, this doesn't tell us too much considering the overall sense, but it does tell us there's a massive amount of support below us, but also, heavy amount of liquidation that could get swept too. So the price does come back down to kind of revisit this area, this lower 16, 1.6 area. We could see here pretty solid amount of liquidation. It'll probably continue lower. Between now and then, we want to probably presume the price is back on track, but we also want to look at some important levels, such as higher highs, higher lows on lower time frames to see if that's been established and kind of go from there. So from a macro here, let's quickly understand that we're soon to diverge or trying to diverge here, but this is a big shift in momentum here, basically bottoming out, telling us, hey, the MACD divergence hasn't happened, the price action recovered, and there's a good chance we won't see it come down from here. It could still capitulate, jump up and down a little bit, but it may not drop much further now that we've bottomed out there. We're also over 50 on the RSI. This is a very good sign. Money flow index is below it, of course, but that's kind of standard for how hard of a sell-off we saw here. Because once again, the money flow index takes an average of the last 14 days and tells you how much money is flowing in and out. It looks like there's an outflow, but truth is we're seeing a decent amount of volume here already so far today, and the candle's only half closed, or half open rather. So again, mostly good here in that sense. When we look at the overall sentiment, everything except for the 200-day SMA is telling us we're above key level supports. Okay, so we're in a pretty good shape here. We also want to recognize too the most recent high worked as a new low, and that's a very exceptional situation there. So again, strong amount of support here at this once more 15.5. All right, so having said all that, daily time frame looks pretty good. 4-hour time frame, quickly to summarize here, we're under the 50, which would be much better to be above it, but for the most part, being back up over the 20 tells us the short-term trend is somewhat discontinued. While it's not perfect, the trend lines never truly are, we can see a pretty obvious descending trend. And now that we're over the 20, the likelihood of further upside is greater, pending Bitcoin doesn't take a nosedive. Okay, so again, there's a lot of things that are kind of factoring in here, but this is a very positive, mostly beneficial situation. And we look at the RSI, we're over 50 on the RSI. Stochastic is kind of pulling back. We can see MACD converging, and TSI is up over 0. So this is like 8 out of 10 reasons why a long position seems to make much more sense right now than before. Speaking of macro, like I was talking about, for higher highs and higher lows, more so from a micro perspective, we have broken free from our local range here. So you can kind of see this bit of a range that we had. And again, it's a little easier to see if I kind of do this. I'll change the color for you. And you can kind of see here, this little range is looking pretty solid because, again, we worked ourselves into a range. Generally speaking, whichever direction you break out of, the likelihood of going in that direction is higher. Now, granted, this is a bearish type of rectangle. Normally they break to the downside, but we've dropped so hard, so fast, and Bitcoin bottomed out. There's a good chance this is the bottom here for SHIB. Okay, so good chance here. What we're looking for is an entry closer to this previous high, which is right at about that 1700 range, or 1.7. I don't know. It depends on where you put your decimal points. Sorry if I'm screwing up the numbers there, but you should be able to see what number I'm referring to there. Basically, depending on the chart, you could have a lot of zeros in front of it, or it might say 0.0175 right now. 0.017 is effectively that area that would be a good consideration for a long based on what we've seen here so far. Now, again, you got to recognize, being a patient trader, sometimes that doesn't happen, okay? So you may want to consider averaging in, but the key takeaway here is we broke our resistance level. We're looking for a bullish backtest of that level, which actually kind of already happened if you look at the hourly time frame here. You can see the price action broke free here, right? Comes up, comes down to retest that level and bounced, right? So that bottom may already be in. So just keep that in mind. The price could continue to run, especially if Bitcoin can maintain 62,000 or higher today. That's a very bullish sign for the most part for a majority of altcoins. Having said all that, let's quickly understand where the HMO cloud is at. So we're above the cloud here. This is actually unlike a lot of coins. Most coins are just barely retesting the upper lead on the cloud. We've been above this for a little while. Conversion line's above the baseline. Lagging spans free and clear. We got 3 out of 3 reasons here for a long position. So we've really identified majority of this chart is very positive, extremely likely to continue higher. And if you want to wait for a slight pullback to get in, definitely up to you. That's more my style. But if you want to get some skin in the game, you could definitely do so. It's only about a 2% difference between my recommended entry at about 1.7, 1700, whatever, or you could do the 17.5 mark as well. Truly up to you, but I'm definitely more long bias on this coin right now. And if you look at the charts, there's really no reason to not be. Keep in mind, Bitcoin could still pull back. It's not like Bitcoin is not like monumentally strong right now, but it did break through its key resistance level and effectively performed a cup and handle breakout. It didn't really handle out too hard. It just pulled back and came right back up. But the key takeaway here is if Bitcoin can close above 61.9, 61.8 is a rough estimate, then I think majority of the altcoin market should be in decent shape this weekend to see Bitcoin dominance taper off and inevitably see some altcoins continue to surge. So that's kind of where we're at there. All in all, good stuff though. I like what I see here. So I'll post our playout chart as per usual on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. If you're not familiar, it looks a little something like this, where I kind of give you hypotheticals on where I feel coins are going to go after I analyze them, and I try to always include liquidation levels too. Okay, so that's all available for you if you're curious. Looking forward to work with you. Either way, if you want, become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site, link down below. Join us over on our Discord. Been an awesome experience there. We took some nice profits here from a Solana short yesterday, 28%. And prior to that, we had a lot of success last week with a lot of longs with, a NOT, Polkadot, VeChain, Filecoin, MNT, ICP. Anyways, you can see my results here on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you want. Either way, I appreciate your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a good day.